Cast members: Robert Englund as Freddy, Mark Patton as Jesse, Kim Myers as Lisa, Robert Russler as Ron, and then you have Jack Shoulder and quite a few other names here. Hope Lang as Cherry Walsh. This movie was 1985. The budget on the movie was $3 million, and the box office was close to $30 million. So they made 10 times their budget, which is good for them. And that's especially good for a horror film in the 80s. I mean, that's amazing for a horror film today. So the ratings on the movie are, you have Rotten Tomatoes, which is 42, Metacritic 43, Internet Movie Database 54, and Horror Movie Talk is 70, and then you have Google users, which is 66 to 85. Now, here are some of the criticisms of the movie. And by the way, before I get to that, let me do the synopsis right quick. Jesse Walsh moves with his family into the home of the lone survivor from a series of attacks by a dream-stalking monster, Freddy Krueger. There, Jesse is bedeviled by nightmares and inexplicably violent impulses. It turns out Freddy needs a host body to carry out his gruesome vendetta against the youth of Springwood, Ohio. While Freddy gains influence, Jesse and his girlfriend Lisa race against the clock trying to figure out what's going on. Now, I've read some of the criticisms of the movie, and a lot of them are pretty similar, and a little bit of it is understandable. Now, I will say that they stated that they think the movie sucked, and some people said it was the worst in the franchise because it didn't really feel like a real Nightmare on Elm Street film. They were saying that, well, normally a Nightmare on Elm Street movie takes place in the form of like a dream parasite, like a dream sequence. And instead, he came to the real world as a serial killer. Well, let's face it. I mean, technically, he is a serial killer. So it makes sense that he... Now, keep in mind, the title of the movie is called Freddy's Revenge. And so it was a dream parasite. It was a dream sequence in the first movie where Nancy Thompson was the protagonist, played by Heather Langenkamp, whom I've had the honor of meeting in person, by the way. And in this movie, it's a follow-up to the original. I mean, that's what a sequel is, where he wanted to get his revenge against many people, especially teens, in the city of Springwood, Ohio. And I will be honest with you, going into this movie, it didn't seem all that good. So I would say about the first 30 to 40 minutes of the movie might have been a little boring, but as it got to the part where, and of course I'm going to spoil this because it's not really a spoiler because the movie's been out since 85, and I imagine almost all my horror fans have seen this movie. So by the time it got to the part where he was possessing the boy, Jesse, and all these teens are having their party, and of course every horror film does that, you know, teens, they have a big house party. Everybody's drinking and smoking and all that stuff and flirting and whatnot, having a pool party and everything. And then he shows up in this host body and he's just slashing people left and right. Once it got to that point, I said, oh, now we're talking. But right before that point, I said, you know what? The first movie is still a lot better. Now with this one, I would say I don't want to say the second movie is for sure better than the first one. I think it's close. But if I was forced to pick one or the other, I probably would still lean more towards the first one. But I don't think the second one was as bad as a lot of the critics made it out to be. So, I mean, it's not surprising also with the fact that it is a sequel. And generally, for the most part, as I've said on the show before, with most movies, no matter what the genre is, most people are you have 60 to 70% of the fans that are automatically going to side with the original just because it is the original. It's the original. It's the best because it's the original. So Fast and Furious, Taken, Mission Impossible, even those type of movies, I'm assuming even some superhero movies, even some DC, Marvel films, especially when it comes to horror films. All the Scream fans are going to say OG Scream, 1996, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. They're all going to say it's the original, so it's the best. But I try not to have that mindset because it's like, okay, that's not fair because it automatically just cancels out every other film. In that case, why even watch the other films? I'd say give it a chance. Now, like I said, the first movie I think I gave the first movie a 10, didn't I? It's kind of a biased opinion because I give most horror films a 10 anyway. This movie I would give about an 8. I can give this one an 8. So I do think that the movies are available to watch on Max. Of course, I watch them on YouTube because I bought them all right there because I buy films digitally. And of course, my horror films and action thriller series and comedy movies, I'll buy all that stuff on YouTube and Amazon. So other than that, I really liked it. And Of course, I've seen all the movies, but I'm just kind of on this marathon right now where I'm just rewatching all of them and just kind of giving my take on what I thought about them. So just give me your thoughts, like and subscribe. I'm going to get to more soon.